Well guys, I don't know how well you can hear me, but if you can see behind me, we're on the side of the road and that's not where I like to stop. On the way back from Circuit of the Americas, finishing our 3,000 mile road trip about 500 miles from home, it seems that a wheel bearing failed in the back of my Ducati V4S, caused the wheel to kind of turn sideways and seize up. Definitely melted the caliper bracket and the wheel speed sensor, which is not great. Hopefully we can get this thing towed to the local Birmingham Ducati dealer, and fingers crossed it'll be a warranty fix. I don't know. If not, maybe this is the opportunity we'll have to put on the 2025 bigger rotor and bigger caliper bracket, just bigger brakes. Either way, this is the first time in roughly 10 years and over 50,000 miles that a Ducati has left me on the side of the road, and it's not a good day. Well, here she sits, totally seized at the shop. So we made it back to Raleigh from our trip. This is the next day and we still have a lot of unanswered questions. Now, the bike was left at the dealership in Alabama. It did end up getting towed. The tow truck driver was actually fairly decent, although we provided a lot of input on where to tie the bike down. In the previous year, we had one of our other bikes, the FJR 1300 that went with us, towed, and that tow truck driver kind of did some aggressive things with it and I think caused some damage to the bikes. We definitely didn't want that to happen this time, so we were able to provide some input on where to strap this bike down using the crash bars and the rear wheel. Overall, it made it to the dealership, no damage, so at least no additional damage, so that was pretty good. Now, I left it at the dealership, and in talking to the service manager, we're going to try and push Ducati to see if this can be a warranty issue. As you know, Ducati has a 2-year warranty on these Multistradas. I got the Everred extended warranty for 3 years, so I have 5 years of total warranty on the bike. Hopefully, this is something that is covered and not considered a wear item. I know wheel bearings sometimes are considered wear items, but after only 25,000 miles, that seems very premature. In talking to some of you guys on the forums online, it seems like this has been a pretty common thing. There might have been a batch of these wheel bearings that went out with no lube that failed real quick, but it seems like there's a lot of these things that have disintegrated, and I'm really curious to find out a little bit more about it. Obviously, you guys see the garage behind me, and there's only one bike in it right now. That's pretty sad. I don't know exactly how we're planning to get the bike back yet. I am hoping that if this goes to a warranty issue and we can get it all resolved while in Alabama, all the parts fixed, we can just fly down, get it, and bring it back. If that doesn't work, we'll just take the truck and the trailer down, I guess, and take a whole 24 hours, basically what the round trip is, to go and get it. And this has really turned into a huge headache. Now, if you guys saw the bike, obviously you can see the back. The wheel spacer melted. The bracket that holds the caliper is made out of aluminum. That has at least been heavily damaged, if not melted. The heat got so bad it melted the wheel speed sensor that was in there that was made out of plastic, and just a lot of damage to the rotor, and I'm sure hopefully not anything to the wheel. This came on the heels of a pretty incredible trip down to Austin, Texas for the MotoGP race. Now, we made it from Raleigh, North Carolina down to Austin, Texas with not really much issue. My chain, I know I should have changed beforehand. I did stop by the dealership in Austin Friday morning, the Ducati Austin, and got the chain adjusted and lubed. That way it was ready for our trip back. There was a little bit of rain on the way. On our way down there, the KTM that was with us, the 1190 Adventure R, that's made the trip now, this is I believe the 3rd time that one's come down, had an evap issue similar to what we did with the Multi V4 our first trip down, and we ended up just disconnecting the evap canister and venting the tank to atmosphere. All was well with the bike after that, no more stalling or surging. As we started the trip back, we noticed some pretty wild noises coming from the back of the bike. Now, knowing the chain was so worn, I first attributed that to chain noise because I thought the chain was just getting wound up and having problems. And the bike had literally just made about 2,000 miles, so I figured another 500 to 1,000 miles was doable. Well, about 500 miles into that, it got really bad. When I started pressing on the rear brake, I noticed some instability in the back end of the bike, and that didn't feel like chain to me. So we got to a gas station, put it up on the center stand, and noticed that the rear tire had a little bit of wobble to it. So clearly the wheel bearing on the right side of the wheel was a little bit worn. And that was kind of concerning. We knew our hotel was only one fuel stop away, about 170 miles. I really wasn't getting the best mileage, only about 32, 33 miles per gallon on this trip, which was a little bit lower than normal. Got to the hotel and this thing was making a lot of noises. When I hit the brakes or started turning the bike, the back end felt really unstable. I could feel the back end wiggling around, kind of like I had a flat tire, even though the tire wasn't flat. And at that point, we realized something was really wrong. Luckily, the hotel we were staying at was only about 7 minutes from a Ducati dealer in Alabama. According to the Ducati website, it is the only Ducati service center in Alabama, so that was pretty lucky timing. Was faced with a decision, either stay there and wait for the dealership to open and be far from home, a different time zone, and just make for a really long day just waiting around doing nothing. Or we saw the next closest service center was in Atlanta, which is the direction we were headed, about one fuel stop away, about 170 miles. So we made the decision. We had already gone that far. It was probably going to be okay for another 100, 200 miles or so. So we decided to push to Atlanta. About 30 minutes in, that was clearly a mistake. The bike started feeling really bad, feeling some grinding in the back. I got a lot of traction control error lights and the whole dash lit up. Everything was disconnected. I couldn't see my speedometer. I had no ABS, no suspension settings, no nothing. It just was totally wrong. I couldn't even see my fuel level. The bike was not happy. Ended up pulling over and noticed that the actual wheel speed sensor, the little plastic sensor that's in the caliper bracket, was smoking. Ended up trying to move it when it was on the side of the road, and that back wheel was all but seized. It was able to roll under engine power, but really you couldn't push the bike at all. I mean, this thing was tight. The wheel moved over to the right a little bit as that wheel spacer had basically disintegrated. You could see the melted aluminum inside. Now we were stuck on the side of the road. Consider this just a cautionary tale. If you suspect something is wrong with a wheel bearing or some part of the rotating assembly of your bike that's going to be catastrophic for the bike if it were to fail, stop where you're at. Luckily, there was a decent shoulder with a bridge behind us that kind of provided some cover just to make sure we didn't get hit, but otherwise it was really not a good location to stop. We were able to get a tow truck out there after about an hour and a half in the middle of Alabama and get a ride over to the dealership. Luckily, that was the time it took for the dealership to open, so kind of worked out. So it's been one day and I still haven't heard from the dealership. They said in the next couple days they'll be getting to it, getting in touch with Ducati just to get an answer of whether this is a warranty issue or not a warranty issue. And based on that answer, we'll go some different directions. Hopefully it'll be a warranty issue and it'll just be fixed. I can go get it and ride it home. If not, this is the opportunity that I've been wanting to upgrade the rear brakes. I got a chance to look and sit on the new 2025 Multis down at Austin, Texas, and found the rear brake rotor is noticeably larger. So hopefully I can get the new rotor swapped on, get the new caliper bracket to position the caliper a little bit farther away so it fits with that rotor, a new wheel speed sensor, and hopefully that's all I need. I know I tested a lot of devices and a lot of different products on this trip, and I have a lot of feedback on pretty much all of them. Hopefully as soon as I get the bike back, we can talk about it. I'd love to share my opinions on those things. Stay tuned for that. Otherwise, like I said, had an awesome time down in Texas. Really enjoyed meeting everybody that watches the channel, and we definitely have some more videos coming soon. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We'll catch you next time.